Hey, what's going on, everyone? I'm Mace, coming to you from Vancouver Island. I'm a big hockey fan, big hockey player. I primarily played competitive hockey up until I was 18, 19 years old. And yeah, that's my sport. I mean, I'm a Canadian after all. So that said, rugby gets played here too. And I know that there's various iterations and versions of rugby, such as rugby union, around the world with, similarities, but also big differences. So let's check out this short video, the rules of rugby union, because I do want to get a better grasp of each different iteration of rugby, and I want to know the differences between them. So let's get to it.
Nin explains the rules of rugby union. The object of the game is for your team to score more points than the opposing team. The game is played with two teams of 15, playing on a field that's 100 meters long between
two teams of 15, so 30 players on the field, 100-meter long field between the goal lines, all right? So
the goal lines. In rugby union, you may run forwards with the ball, and you may kick the ball forwards. But what's interesting about rugby union is that you can only pass the ball backwards or sideways. You cannot pass the ball forwards, and doing so...
Okay, so you can run with the ball as far as you want, but out of necessity, of course, you're going to have to pass it because the defending team is going to tackle you. So you have to, if you do pass it, you have to pass it backwards, or you can kick it forwards. Okay, so rugby union. Let's get this in my brain. Let's sear this, etch this into my brain so I don't forget.
So will result in your opponent being awarded possession. The idea is to score points, and there are several ways to do this.
Kick it through the uprights.
Number 1, a try. You can run with the ball into your opponent's in-goal area and place the ball down onto the ground. This is a try and is worth 5 points. Unlike in American football, the player must press the ball on the ground with downward pressure. No downward pressure equals no try. Number 2, a conversion. After scoring a try, you are awarded a conversion kick to add more points. The kick is made from a spot 20 meters from the goal line and perpendicular to the spot where the try was scored. Kicking the ball between the posts and over the crossbar scores 2 points.
Oh, cool. So there's some similarities you can draw there if you were an American football fan. Like a touchdown is when but in American football, you don't have to put the ball down with force. The conversion point is kind of similar too.
Number 3, a penalty. If your opponent commits a foul, you may choose to kick the ball from the ground between the goalposts. This scores 3 points. Number 4, a drop goal. You can also kick the ball between the posts at any time during open play. To do this, you must drop the ball onto the ground first before kicking it. This also scores 3 points. To stop you from scoring, your opponents will try and stop you by tackling. Your opponent can grab you below the shoulders and pull you to the floor or stop you moving forwards. In rugby union, once a player is tackled, the ball carrier must let go of the ball. This usually results in players pushing each other away on the ground whilst the teammate tries to get possession of the ball. Players from either team can get possession at this point.
So is it just the referee's discretion? Like how quick is that time frame from when you get tackled to having to let go of the ball? Is it like 1 second? 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi,
This is known as a ruck and is an important part of the game. To the untrained eye, it looks like a bunch of men rolling around on the floor, but in reality, they're trying to push the opponents away so that they can get the ball. The maul is the other important part of the game. This is essentially a ruck while standing up. Players will usually push opposing players backwards in order to gain better field position. Unlike in American football or rugby league, there are no set limits for possession. If a team can keep the ball for the entire game, they generally will. The game is played in two 40-minute halves, for a combined playing time of 80 minutes. Team with the highest score after 80 minutes.
How does play resume after a point scored?
Minutes. Team with the highest score after 80 minutes wins. That's
like after a drop goal per se. Does the team that just got scored on just start with the ball at the end line, or do they get it at a certain point up the field? I don't know if he explained that or not.
Basically the gist of it, but there's a few other rules you'll need to understand before playing or going to a game. For example, knock-on. Any player deflecting the ball forwards with their arms or body is committing a knock-on. Remember, you're not allowed to pass the ball forwards, so you're not allowed to deflect it forwards either, unless it's a kick. Committing a knock-on will result in the other team being awarded a scrum. Scrum. This is a method of restarting play, usually after a forward pass or a knock-on.
Okay.
The forwards of both teams line up and push against one another whilst the ball is rolled between them. In general, any team can win possession of the ball at this point. In touch.
What?
This is rugby
Damn,
terminology
that seems
for
hard.
out of the playing area. The outer lines of the field are touch lines, and any ball leaving the field of play is said to be in touch. Line out. This is another method of restarting play, usually when the ball has left the field in touch. Players from each team will line up 1 meter apart whilst the ball is being thrown between them. Players are allowed to lift teammates up to try and...
It's pretty wicked, like the way they lift him up and they get some serious vertical space between the other players.
Gain possession of the ball.
Oh,
There are many other rules not discussed here, but as you watch or play rugby union, they will become very clear indeed. If you found this video at all helpful, please like, share and subscribe. It takes me ages to make one of these things, and good karma is very much appreciated. Be sure to follow me on Twitter also, but in the meantime...
so it's pretty like basic, I would say, pretty basic explanation of the sport. Like some very, very, very basic rules, ground rules. So if you were watching, you would know what's going on. Obviously, there's so much detail, obviously, so much minutiae of the game, so much nuance and skill and detail that you would get to know if you are really familiar with it. And if you're a viewer, you probably are. I do have that one question of like where you start, where the team that got scored on after a try or conversion, or what was the other one called, where you just kick it in, penalty, 3 points, yeah, the drop goal. So like a try, drop goal, conversion, or even a penalty kick. Like, does the other team just start at the goal line, or do they start at a specific point? That is one kind of question that I have. All right, interesting though. Cool game, man. I know it's a incredibly physical, fast-paced, skillful game. It's certainly something that I wouldn't mind watching more of and getting to know the teams and stuff. Like, I want to get into more sports. It's just sometimes it's not so easy to, like, we only have so much time, right? We only have so much time to invest as people. So getting into a sport is a big investment, and it can be frustrating. It can be exhilarating. It can be depressing, like, right? Like, you all know, if you're watching this and you're a sports fan, the agony and ecstasy of sports, like, those don't just apply to the players, they apply to the fan bases too. And yeah, it gets intense, right? And you get very heavily invested. It can be a big commitment and also like stressful, to be honest. Like, I'm a big hockey fan, so I watch the Vancouver Canucks. Like, that's my team. I'm wearing their shirt right now. But they never won a Stanley Cup. Like, it's frustrating stuff, right? So interesting. I enjoyed that. Very simple explanations. I'll probably watch the video again once I'm done. I'll let you guys go, and just to kind of drive it into my brain, like I'm studying over here. All right.